Catch you on the rebound. We back. We have Danielle Trought in the building. Make some noise for Danielle Trought. Danielle Trought, here we are. Hometown, Houston, Texas.
What's good?
But we met here out in Fort Worth. I got some roots in Houston. A lot of my father's side of the family is in Houston, but you ended up here.
Did indeed.
Are you happy in Cowtown?
I am.
Yeah.
There's no complaints here. My mom, we actually do really love it here. It's better than I would say than Houston because it's just more calm.
Slower
pace.
True.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so obviously you have a twin sister, you have a brother. You guys are very family oriented from what I know.
Yes, we are.
Sports background. How's everybody?
Doing good. Doing really good.
Okay.
Twin sister, she's living the dream over in Japan. She recently graduated from TCU in May.
Okay.
So she's living and thriving over there.
Yeah.
Baby brother is at Texas State, going on his second year.
Okay.
He's doing really good too as well.
All right.
She's working, grinding every day.
Yeah.
Trying to get ready for that retirement. So
Okay.
she's doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing good too.
Here we
Yep.
go. Yeah.
Doing
Cool.
good.
Yeah.
Trying to grind too as well.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, just your energy as a person from the few times that we spent together in yoga or with Bridget or at the ranch. Like I just felt like you were a person who would be great for the show, just based off of like what I knew, the little that I knew about you, and I felt like it would be great to share with other people. So so mental health to me is just like obviously like making yourself vulnerable, just opening up your scars and letting people see them for what they are. Because like our scars are beautiful, and like if we don't learn to deal with like the things that we go through, then we won't be able to like pass through them, and like they'll kind of like hold us back if we don't just look at the things that we go through as what they are.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Because one of the things that I took out of or my mental health, what I really battled with was one of the I guess back when I was 7.
Okay.
My dad passed away. And, you know, when you're 7 years old, you don't really process the whole,
Were you a daddy's girl?
I was. Believe it or not, my mom always told me like I was attached
More than your sister.
More than my sister, yes. And so, or we both were, but like I was more like latched on.
Got it.
But you know, when you're that young, you don't really process. You know, you just go on through emotions. You know, they put you through therapy classes, but it's more like
do they at 7?
Oh, 7, but it's more like activities, and so like, they don't really necessarily talk about. Because you're just that young, you don't really know like what you are feeling. Yeah. But as we got older, and certain things like father and daughter dances and stuff, and like we're like, oh well, we don't have a dad, but my mom remarried and stuff, and like which to her new husband, he was really nice, and he really loved us. Yeah, we're like we were his own, and so would not discredit that at all. And but it was that there's this maternal disconnect that we didn't get from him, and like even my mom's side of the family, they knew our dad, and so like they really trying to incorporate what they knew about him into our lives, like reggae music. My dad was from Jamaica, and so he
I never knew that.
Yeah, and so so he was from Jamaica, like Kingston, Jamaica. He and so they really love reggae music because he brought that to them, and so like they even now we listen to reggae music all the time. Yeah. And so those certain things
Levy.
So they really make you think about our dad and stuff. But then certain things like there was always this disconnect, even with my brother, because my brother barely knew our dad. Me and my sister remember him, but my brother, he was 4. And so you don't remember certain things when you're that age. And so it really affected him a lot growing up, trying to be a man, and like, certain things you got to live up to, because you hear all these stories about dad, and, you're like, well, crap. And so, but when I went back to El Paso, because me and my sister both went to UTEP our freshman year. All right. I'm getting somewhere, so I'm sorry. I'm like telling this whole storyline, but
the floor is yours.
No, but me and my sister, we went to UTEP for to play soccer and run track. Yep. We went there. She was there for about a year, and then she got offered to TCU to run track there because she had a really good track season at UTEP. And she was like, yeah, I'll go back home. And I was like, you left me. What the hell?
Just left you.
And I was like, what?
Dang.
Yeah, but I was really happy. I'm like, do whatever you need to do. Like, I wasn't really, I was against it, but like, no, don't leave me. But, I would know it was better for her.
Do y'all have that twin thing where y'all know what each other's thinking?
We don't know what we're thinking, but we know how each other are feeling.
Okay.
Like we can empathize, but that's more, everyone can do that, but like it's more stronger with us just because twins. We are twins. Yeah. Okay. But I think that's like a myth that people say, like, okay, we really talk to each other, and we don't have telepathic or anything like that. Wow. I wish, because we wouldn't be talking at all. No.
So but my father died too.
Really?
My dad died. I was older than you guys. I was 19. What I don't know, like, what are some of the things that you like feel? So sometimes, like, when I go home, like, even to this day, I'm just like, I just like rumble through stuff, and I'm like, dang, like Daddy is like, he's really not here. I
get those feelings all the time when I look at pictures. I'm like, dang, he is like gone. And I can imagine you if you were older. Yeah. You have more of a memory and more of a more relationship with him. And for me, I still get emotional talking about it. Really? Yeah. Okay. Even though I don't really know how deep our connection was because I was so young, but like I still feel it every day. Do you? In a sense, like, because one thing that my mom told me, my sister, I don't know if she told my brother, but like one thing before because believe it or not, my dad had a feeling he wasn't gonna live for a very long time. My dad did too. That's crazy. He told me. Yeah. I was like, yo, you are tripping. Yo. Like, he told me like a year before it happened. Oh my God. Yeah, he told my mom. He did. Yeah, he told my mom. He's like, hey, like, I know I'm not gonna be able to see them graduate. I'm not gonna be able to walk them down the aisle. Just make sure that they put God first and they go to college. That's all I want. And
did she tell you guys?
She told us that, and so
she did.
She told us that when we were like going in high school. She told us that so we can.
Oh, like after the fact.
Way after the fact, yeah. So she told us that just more of like an encouragement to make sure that we do push on don't go into college and like I don't think she necessarily meant like to like force us to go, but like it made us like more of a lit in our fire to be able to do that because that was one of his dying wishes.
For you guys to go to college.
Yeah, because that's one of the things he wanted us to do, and I feel like we're all doing it. So yeah, so but like one of the things, like I didn't realize it was still affecting me because when my sister left and after I had back surgery and injuries and stuff, I went back to UTEP. Okay. And I didn't realize I was so alone. Okay. Like I didn't like being alone. Okay. And so that was one of the mental battles. Like I didn't
just needed people around.
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean. I had someone. My whole life. That was my sister. I was never alone. Okay. And so we both went to UTEP together, but then when I came home, I was with my family when she was there. Yeah. And then next year of 2016, the fall came, we were switched. And so I was by myself. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and I didn't realize how I was more of the independent twin. Like, I don't care. Like, the attitude kind of thing, aggressive. And, that facade went away, and I was like, whoa.
It's because you had your sister there that you felt like.
I had my sister, and I was like, what? Who's gonna say what? Yeah, exactly.
I know what you mean.
And that barrier and that facade had to go away because I didn't know who I really was, and
without your sister.
Without my sister. Yeah. Even when I talk. When I was back over there, I said we. Like I didn't say I. Like oh yeah, we like this and this, because like it's natural. True. And so I got to a very dark place where like I started thinking negative thoughts and like that was life threatening, and I had my family, but like they were far away. I had them on the phone, but it's different than being. It's
different when you have somebody physically
there. Yeah, and like I was telling you earlier, it's hard to I didn't really have a lot of people to really talk to because they weren't really. It was hard finding genuine people. Yeah. Who really just wanted to talk, not just the ulterior motive of trying to get something out of it. True. And so one of the things, and then I decided my sister actually brought it up, like, why don't you go see someone, just talk to someone, like go see a counselor. Did you? And I was, they actually provided free counseling at UTEP. And so that was one of the things, like if it was given, might as well, that's an option I can give. True. I can do that. Yeah. And so I, went to go see the counselor, and one of the things that the counselor, her name was Alexis. I love her to death. Oh my gosh, she literally changed my life.
Wow, you still remember her?
Yeah, my outlook. Okay. Yeah, my outlook of it, like everything. So she, basically the root of everything that I was saying, like I had a problem with my stepdad and with my mom. Like their relationship was like at a rift and stuff. Being by myself, it all went down to my processing of my dad dying, my 7-year-old injury of my dad dying, and I had no idea that was still an issue that
I thought it would go away.
I thought I was over it. I thought I went through it. I overcame it. I'm strong. I'm good. Whatever. But I never really processed it. Mm-hmm. And she even went to a link of going to. She got out of her chair, sat in another chair. She goes, "Okay, 7-year-old Danielle's right there. What are you gonna say to her? Tell her what she's feeling."
I really like that.
And I was like, literally, powerful. I was like, I was quiet for a good 2 or 3 minutes. I was just looking at the empty chair, that was 7-year-old Danielle, and telling her what she's feeling, because she doesn't really know, because she doesn't know those feelings. She can't articulate or really put down what words or those feelings are. And true. So, but during that process of going to see Alexis and really figuring out who Danielle is, because I've been talking to her and I was like, we like this. She goes, no, what do you like? What does Danielle like? Not Brittany, not, what do you like? And I really had to sit there and I was like, because what do I like that, that's different than what me and Brittany like? There's Brittany and what we like and what do I like? And so I was like, I had to really think about it because I never thought about it before.
Okay.
Because, and even when our dad passing away, I took on a role of being a protector of my 2 siblings. Because I'm the oldest by 3 minutes by Brittany, but I always I'm older. No, but I take the protective role. And so I never really displayed my emotions. Gotcha. I don't really like getting emotional. Yeah. My sister can tell you, I don't cry. I don't. Really? And so when I was there, I was like, what the heck?
No control.
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah. And she's like, you were pinning up all this emotions, and it's not good for a person. You need to let that out, because it will eventually build up, and then you'll just snap. You'll be in a dark place. So I was in that dark place, and and so.
Wow. Take a moment. Just take a moment.
It's crazy. It's crazy how you have to process those certain things before you be able to move on.
Oh, you cannot move on.
Yeah, you can't. And that's it's literally with everything. I couldn't even I couldn't even concentrate in school. I couldn't even when I was by myself, because literally people don't realize how much control your mentality
has everything.
Has everything. What you say to yourself, self-talk is everything. Saying you make a mistake on your exam, man, Danielle, why'd you do that? That's negativity. It's true. You don't realize those words of negativity, but then you're feeding yourself that all the time.
You can feed to yourself. Before anybody else says something to you. You can do it to yourself.
You can do it to yourself, but we do it more to ourselves than anybody else does.
True.
And so that's just a true fact. Yeah, we do it all the time. I even do it on the field. When I make a mistake, I'm like, I get mad at myself. Yeah. Okay. And even my sister noticed it. She goes, you need to stop. You're fine. That's true. You're good. Because if you get mad, then you're going to get mad the whole time. And that's you're not going to perform well. Yeah. But your mental health does take. That's powerful. It's powerful, for sure.
One of the things, and all of this stuff just recently happened to me this year. So I felt like I had this moment where I felt okay, I got to know more about my dad. I just got to go find. I was just digging stuff. I would go to my mom's house and dig through everything.
I did Ancestry.com thing, and I really went.
Oh, I did that too.
Yeah, I did that too, Yeah,
but I just, I needed to, talk to his friends or whoever, and they started to tell me stories about him that I didn't know. And I was like, okay. But, my life right now is okay, what did he want from me? Or, what was I supposed to take from, him passing? What does that mean to my life? What is that supposed to teach me?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get totally what you mean, because I'm a realist.
I like how you said that.
I'm a realist, and so my sister, my dad always said we always went to church all the time, every Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, because my dad was best friends with the pastor. Yeah, and so when we lived in Houston, and so after he passed away, we didn't really go to church as much, but we did. We were Christians, but we weren't as much as involved as we really should have been, but my sister, she went to TCU, so she TCU is Christian school, and so they had a Bible class, and Brittany was getting more of the tapping interest, and all that stuff, and Kobe is too, and but for me, I was at El Paso, and I was thinking, I was going through therapy, and my therapist was a very spiritual person too. She was involving the Bible into our sessions, which I really appreciated. Okay. It was crazy how they have the verse of the day, the book. Yeah. She has one, and then
she has one of those.
Yeah. So after we talk, she'll read the verse, and we're like, oh my God, it's totally what it is today. It was just mirror what we were talking about. Yeah. But I had a really hard time before that to really understand why. Okay. why do I have to lose my dad to be able to realize certain things? Yeah. Like, or what was the purpose? Yeah. That was the hardest thing for me. Yeah. My sister and my mom, well, more so my sister, she was like more of like understanding kind of since like everything happens for a reason. And me and my mom, we hate when people say that all the time. Too. But like, what was the reason? Like, I need to know. Like, I need facts. Where is the? Yeah. Where does
I need to know exactly why this happened.
Yeah, I need to know. Like, but as like life carried on, like, you know, if there wasn't, I wouldn't say him dying was a good thing. Like there's no good thing about it for me at all. Yeah. But one of the things that came out of his death is our drive of making sure that we leave a good legacy for him. Yeah. Going to college, making sure that, you know, we make our mark on people, not in the sense of like, you know, career or anything like, but we leave an impact of what our relationships are with people. Okay. I feel like that's what he did. Because every time, like as you said, you talk to people about your dad and try to know story. I hear stories and all they were good stories about him. Oh my God, he loves to talk. He's a positive person. He never, you know, he always met people with open arms. He never, you know, and I want to be that kind of person. And so like I feel like knowing that that would be the purpose. That's the only thing I can come out of it would be the purpose of making sure that we wouldn't be, to be honest, we probably wouldn't be athletically involved if he didn't pass away.
Really?
Because my dad, he was a scholar, so he got a
education first.
Well, he got a full scholarship to Texas A&M on academics from Kingston to go there. Yeah, and he got his master. He got a bachelor's, master's, PhD. Okay. He was a professor. Okay. Yeah, he was very smart, and so I don't feel like we would have been that athletically involved as much as if he were. Had
he been around.
Yeah, and so I would take that. I'm like, okay, well, you know. Because he was involved in soccer and track too in Jamaica, but he wasn't, you know, a jock. My brother, he's like my dad. Like he's like, I don't want to do sports. I just want to do school. I just want to make money. I'm like, bro. And so makes sense, man. But me and my sister, we took more on the sports role, and so like that helped us with the education. That's the only kind of we benefited from it or we saw from it is like, okay, it'll help us pay for school. Let's go. And so. But yeah, that's the only purpose I would see it. For me, like I would. If I had it any other way, I would like for him to be here. Really? Just because everyone, especially a daughter, wanted to have connection with her dad. Yeah. You know, even a son too. Yeah. I can only imagine because I have a great connection with my mom, and like I always talk to my brother, and he feels like he's missing out. Like he can talk to my mom, but like there's stuff that guys get to talk about versus what girls can what female to female, woman to woman you can talk to, but not men to men. Like one of the things that like I really missed the most was like so my dad used to make us go to church, and then he died, and then we stopped going. Yeah. So I had to like get back involved with church on my own. Yeah. And like one of the things like on Sunday he would always get up in the morning and like want to go eat at Denny's, and nobody else wanted to get up, and like I did. So that was like our thing. Like we would always go to Denny's on Sunday, and like we would have our one-on-one time to just like talk when we weren't like arguing and like butting heads. Because I was at that age like 16, 17 to where like you're trying to find yourself. You're like, no. Yeah. I was like, man, I wasn't really like listening to what he was saying. Your ego is at your peak, and you're like, oh no, I'm this. Yeah. And then like I lost him, and I was like, wow. Like at the funeral, like I cried the whole time. Like I was useless. Like I cried the entire time. Like I don't remember saying a word. And it just hit me like, okay, like I have to just like open up and just like let people know who I am. Cause like that identity thing is like, it's so real. Like being an athlete, like somebody asked me like, who are you outside of basketball? Like who is Jordan Tolbert? Like what is your identity? And like, I didn't really know either. Like I went through that period where I didn't know. And then like everything that I always had wanted to do, even like this, like I just do it. Like if I'm afraid of it, like I do it more often. Like if I'm more afraid of it, like I'm gonna do it. That's you know what I mean? Like you have to like try things to figure out like who you are. Because if you don't try it, you don't never know. Yeah. Yeah. You could be really good at it, but if you didn't do it, because you didn't do it out of fear. That's true. That's what's the biggest holdback is fear. What's something you've always wanted to do that you haven't done? That you're a little afraid of. I'm afraid of failure. Okay. I'm really afraid of failure. Like, one of the things I really had to battle, like I really had a career. Everybody does. When they come on here, that's what everybody says. For me, like, So I know I want to go to in the medical field. Like I also thought about being a veterinarian because I love animals. I have a really big heart for animals, especially. So I either thought about vet school or med school, but for me, I'm more of like I excelled in academics. I'm not trying to like, oh, I'm really smart. No, but I excelled in academics in high school and then some in college. And like I really like to push myself. That's why another reason why I left UTEP, because it wasn't really mentally stimulating for me because I like to be challenged. Okay. Yeah, and so at Texas Wesleyan, I'm really challenged right now. Really? I'm like, ugh. And so, but I like to. So like I know like okay, vet school sounds. Like, I really would love to go to vet school, but med school like I know that would be challenging too, just because you're working with humans versus animals. And so I'm saying I want to go to med school, but I'm also afraid, like, what if I don't go? I'm saying to all these people that I'm going to medical school, and what if it turns out I didn't get accepted in? Okay. But so I'm afraid. Like,
are you afraid?
Of failure. I'm afraid of not being accepted. I'm afraid of what people will think if I didn't do it. And so, or if I didn't get into it. Yeah. Oh man, she didn't do it. Dang, that sucks. That's why I'm picking like leaning more towards vet school, because like, okay, it's more easier.
Oh, because you think it's easier.
Yeah.
And Can I say something to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so the past 2 years. So last year I went to Sacramento, and like I told everybody, I'm gonna be playing with the Stockton Kings, and they released me. And this year I was supposed to be playing with the Texas Legends in Frisco, and I told everybody, and like they released me. So like all this happened like 2 months ago.
But how was the feedback back though from the those people that you told? I'm sure you don't tell everybody, but you told like the people like was close to you.
You don't like, it's not about them. And that's kind of like why I wanted to make this point. Like, it's not about them. That was the thing that I feared the most, was like, and like I talked about it on another episode, like just having to go and tell everybody that I failed. Like I failed them. I felt like I had let them down, but like the only person you can let down is yourself. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Now, like the way that I operate now is like, I'm gonna do what I want to do and be who I am, like regardless of how it makes other people feel. Because like at a certain age, like it's not gonna matter what they think anyway. But like for some reason in our minds, like before we realize that, like we really care about what people think.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like, we always want certain cues from people. Yeah. Even, especially being an athlete, you want a certain cue from your coach. Great job, good work, all this stuff. And I didn't get, so that was one of the things that plummeted, my mental health went down, is when I went back to UTEP and I wasn't athletically, like, achieving anything.
You had, like, the motivation.
From high school, they were like, dang, Danielle, you're running fast, good job, good run, all that kind of stuff, but I didn't get that there. Okay. And so, like, when I didn't get those, high fives or good jobs. Got you. I felt like I was failing. Okay. And like versus my sister, that was one of the things. My sister was at TCU and she was going to NCAA championships. Okay. Really doing well. Yeah. And I was like, man, she's doing well. I'm over here not doing anything.
And you're comparing yourself.
And that was one of the things that I had talked to Alexis about. I was comparing myself to my sister. Yeah. And I was suffering from comparative superiority, where that is,
comparison is the thief of joy.
All the time. Oh my gosh, yeah. And so that sucked really the life out of me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, because we're twins, so we have to be the same, like, we have that mentality, like we have to be just as well achieving as the other one. Okay. That's how it is. You're always you're subconsciously competing with another person your whole life. Yeah. Grades,
and I have an older brother, and we kind of, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So even in high school we didn't say I'm gonna beat you, but like it was like okay,
it's like unspoken.
Exactly. Like, and so not being able to come achieve, she's over here and I'm like down here. Yeah. But I also got to think back that Alexis put me back to the ground, like that you had surgery, right? Yeah. That it was pretty extensive, right? And your sister didn't. Okay. So y'all both are on a different path. Yeah. You're recovering and she's somewhere else. She's at a different chapter. You're still, you need to figure this stuff out first before you can take on anything else. Yeah. And so I was like, you're right. Like, okay. She put me back down to the present, because I'm thinking like what I need to do right now. Like I need to make sure I'm, champion on this, and then running running a certain time for hurdles. Yeah. And
that'll like tire you out itself.
It drained me.
Just trying to keep up with somebody else.
Drained me. And so she put me through a lot of meditation and a lot of journaling, making sure that whatever I'm feeling certain days, like I write it down.
You do journal?
I journal all the time.
I journal a lot too.
I started in high school. Like,
it helps.
It does.
Just getting it out on paper.
Especially, and then you look back on it, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah, like you're like, I got through that.
Yeah, exactly. You to like reflect on what you went through. Yeah. And it's crazy. You're just like, wow, that was how my mental state was. Like, crazy. Yeah.
But you got past it.
Yeah.
So one of my good friends was like, and I don't really always do it, but he says like he does it Sundays where he just like stops everything and just like goes back and reflects like in his journals or whatever it is, like whatever he was thinking during the week, like he reflects on it just for like one day out of the week to kind of like prepare himself, you know?
Wow. That's
you know
really good. Yeah. That's really like, I used to do that. I did that reflecting with Alexis. I didn't really do as much now by myself, just because like I had someone to tell, like, help me reflect, and she really pinpoint what reflected what, and like what feeling, and I'm like, oh, okay, that really meant I was angry. Like I didn't feel angry. She goes, but that came out from anger. Okay, and so and that's really good. Like that's mental maturity, self maturity for yourself, be able to like look back and self discipline yourself, and like looking back on what like looking back, yourself. Looking back. Okay, like this is how I was feeling. What can I do? What kind of exercises or thoughts I can put into mine when I'm feeling those things? I can pull myself out of it. Those are like kind of exercises we did, and I feel like that's probably what he was like. Okay, well, I was feeling this way. I should, what can I do to prevent myself from feeling that way again? Okay. Or what if I do feel that way? What can I say or what can I do to pull me out of it? Yeah. To not react the same way. Exactly. Yeah. And so, man, and that all comes back though to self-love though. Yeah. Because like being by yourself, like you had, like for my definition of being by like self-love is being comfortable being by yourself. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like you have to be comfortable. Like I can be by myself. Yeah. A while. Like. I can be myself. I'm mostly by myself all the time. Yeah. And just because I'm at a certain point, like I'm at a certain stage in my life that I can, like it didn't take, I can't be like automatically I can be myself. Yeah. Like it took a lot of time for me by myself, like, cause I like being by myself. Cause from coming from not being by myself to be by myself, it was.
Did you feel like you were like missing out on stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt. Yeah, especially being a twin, like. It's great because you have a permanent best friend. You always have someone with you, but it was also we subconsciously limited each other. Okay. In a sense, like growing up, like in high school, you make friends, or if you go to high school parties, like
go different ways.
Yeah, you can do whatever. Like you're trying to see what you want to do. But if I didn't do something, Brittany didn't do it. Really? If she didn't do something, I didn't do it. Okay. Just so because we were just.
Oh, we're sisters.
Well, yeah, we're sisters, but like it was more so like. We didn't go to any high school parties. We never really ventured out. We never dated. Because if Brittany didn't do it, I didn't do it. If I didn't do it, Brittany didn't do it. Like it was that kind of thing. And so we look back and we're like, man, we wish we did, just because like we could have like had more fun. It was more. It felt like more like a job than, because like high school you're supposed to have fun. Same thing with college. You're supposed to have fun because it's before then. That's when life hits you. You have to work, be an adult, that kind of thing. But we limited ourselves in that kind of way, like. That's what she told me, because that's when she went to Japan, and she's like, yeah, like I basically held her back from dating anybody because I didn't.
And he said that to you?
Brittany said that to me, and which I didn't think about it. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, because like you didn't, and I was like, well, Brittany, like I didn't because I didn't want to. You could have, and she's like, yeah, but you didn't. Like the
so
stage,
you guys were both kind of doing that same.
Yeah, thing. So we were both at the same like. Our thoughts were the same just because we did everything the same. And so like, but now she's seeing people and talking to more people. And so like she's doing her own thing because she's by herself and figuring out what Brittany is. Yeah. And for me, like I was telling her, I was like, Brittany, like I didn't want to date anybody because you can't try to find someone when people are always trying to find that someone than trying to be that someone. Whew. Like,
I need you to repeat that.
No, everyone's trying to find that one person or that someone. They're trying to be that person or that someone for themselves.
That's a gem.
And so, like, for me, like, I'm still finding who Danielle is. Like, I'm at a point of being by myself, but, like, I like certain things. Like, I like to do things by myself. Yeah. And so, like.
There's nothing wrong with it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
And I don't think nothing's wrong with it. Yeah. That's all that matters. And so, like, for me, like, when all my friends, I have friends or people that I'm more of like an observer, and like I watch people and like, okay, like they're in relationships and like they're telling me certain things like, oh, he did this and he did that. I'm like, okay, I'll take that in, and like I know that's not what I want in a relationship. Okay. Yeah. But they're always like, well, I need to find somebody. Like I can't be by myself. I'm like, girl, don't you know like there's more to like you just broke up with a guy, right? You know that you can't just
need
go
time to yourself.
You need time to reflect on what happened in that relationship so that you know to fix that and carry on to the next. I'm able to not repeat that in the next one. And that was with me for all in life.
Okay.
For me, like if I take that in life chapters or stages that I go through or battle with, for me myself, like if I certain things that I said to a friend, or if I did something a certain like there's certain things, tons of things I made mistakes on. Okay. But I reflected on it and know not to do those again or approach it a certain different way. Yeah. Because I'm at a mental state or self-love and a what would you call it? Awareness in a sense of like knowing what not to do or what to do. Yeah. If that makes sense.
It's just like, okay. If it's just baggage, right?
Yeah.
And if you put all this stuff in your backpack every day, like it's gonna be heavy. You know what I mean? And you gotta carry that backpack around. But if you look in there like, okay, like maybe I don't need this. Like I'm gonna take this out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you can just you can let it go.
Yeah. Or certain things it's oh my God. If you hold certain things or if you let certain things affect you in a certain way, you have that person or that thing has control over you.
Yeah. Oh, it does.
Yeah. And so like why let it? Yeah. So like one of the things I always tell one of my friends, she gets mad that certain people say certain things, or like, is that person gonna be in your life 10 years from now? Are they gonna be relevant? Yeah. So what the point of what they're saying is? Yeah. Do you know? So they're saying that you're not a very determined person. Then is that what they're saying is true? No. Yeah. Then you don't need to listen to that because you know that you're not that type of person. So why think that that what they're saying is true? Yeah. Or why let it affect you?
True. I mean, I can understand like how it's difficult. Like you said, like if someone is like doing better than you, it would almost seem like it's right that like what they're saying is true because they're doing better than you, but like it's not. Like it actually has nothing to do with your life at all.
What do you mean, like better than like
it you could get be just like if they're excelling at like sports, work, life, like anything in general. Like of course it would be like, man, like all right, like if they're saying not to do this, like
then I meant let's not do it.
Then like but it has nothing to do with your life at all.
Like you said, like what your parents, regardless of what you said, like you were telling everybody that you were doing this, and then I got dropped. I was doing this, and then if you let those people tell you like, oh man, that's terrible. Why would if you let your parents or for example your parent, like my mom, she had a totally different life path than what my life path is. Okay. She was pregnant with me and my sister. At my age, I'm 23. She was 23 when she was pregnant with me and my sister, and I'm like, I can't imagine having twins right now. So we're in different paths. So like, she'll tell me certain things, like what she thinks that I should do, but she doesn't expect me to do them. Of course, she hopes that whatever decision I make will lead me to whatever path I do. But that's hard for anybody who don't really understand that because it's hard because my mom's successful. So you if a successful person tells you, hey, I think you should do this, you're like, well, okay, well, you're doing right, so I guess I should do that. So but then you don't know, turns
just because it worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
No, not at all. And so for sure, whatever works for my sister doesn't work for me.
So that's going to be a hard one. You said it earlier. What would Danielle, knowing what you know now, what would you say to your younger self?
I would tell her that the advice I would tell her is that know that that you're different. Okay. In a sense of that my mentality, me and my sister, myself more so included, we were very mature for our age. Okay. While all the other girls were, focusing on boys and all this stuff, we were just very determined on one goal is, okay, we need to get to college. We need to make sure we get this stuff done. We were on it. Because we had to mature, I guess, at a young age. Yeah. Just certain things that happened in our life. And so, but the things that we've done, people ridiculed us of it. They thought that we were better than them. Yeah. Because I guess we didn't I don't know how we carried ourselves, but we were just more to ourselves. People thought that, we were, stuck up or anything. They always said there's certain things, but we were not. Yeah. We didn't mean it that way.
Just didn't follow like everyone else.
We didn't follow anyone else. Yeah. But we got, even we're biracial. Okay. And so going to track practices, and it's more people, Black people were there at the track practices, and, they see us and we don't talk. We talk. Mm-hmm. talk white. And I don't know how that's
professional.
There you go. I don't know how you can talk white, but
that's just a stupid thing. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and so they were like, oh my, like, you know, they see us and they're like, oh my gosh, they called us yellow bone, or like certain things like that.
Yeah.
And those comments didn't bother us as much because me and Brittany had each other, but like, why, you know, look down on someone who obviously is flourishing for themselves when, like, people who are not really really comfortable with themselves ridicule other people.
Of course.
Because they see them, or they're envious of them how comfortable, because we were really comfortable with ourselves. And so people are like now I was talking to some people, one of my closest friends, and we were talking about this, and like, people are envious of other people when they see how comfortable they are with their own selves. Yeah. When you're at a certain point in your life with that of self-love or self-awareness of yourself, that other things don't bother you as much. When I can say something to you like, oh, your hair looks so silly, and then it doesn't affect you, right? Because you're like, I'm not. Yeah, so those certain things, like, it doesn't bother, and that makes them upset because they'll say certain things, and we're just like, okay, it hurt a little bit, but it was like, okay,
you gotta really like earn that. Like, it's not something you can like buy, and it's not something that like it's like a lot of hard work to get to that point in your life.
Yeah, it is, because you do, like,
you really gotta look within.
Yeah, because you really have to spend time with yourself to really know who that person. And that's what a lot of athletes are hard time doing right now. Is after they're done with school and after they're done with sports, they feel like they're done. Like, they don't know. It's over. They don't know what they're doing with their lives because they didn't realize who they were outside of being an athlete. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things my sister went through a little slump too.
Did she?
After she graduated. Okay. She was like, had a little mini depression, like, because like I was like, are you good? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. But she wasn't anywhere close to fine. Yeah. Okay. And she was having a hard time because her schedule was, you always had it on a tight schedule all the time. You had practices, you had somewhere to be, and then all of a sudden, she really woke up the next day after graduation. She's like, what do I do now? She was just at home, and I always have not have to worry about being fit or like getting fat because you're always active. But she doesn't have to worry about that because she's always active, more so than me. But no, but that's one of the things that even when other people that I've known who graduated from after doing sports, they had a hard time with that, like their self-image, like, because that's all they knew who they were was
as an athlete. Yeah.
And so
it's very difficult.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So, because I'm glad I was able to get into a certain state of self-awareness for myself, a mental state. Because, to be honest, at first I thought, therapy was, okay,
It's a stigma with black people.
Well, not even for me. Like, I wasn't even, because like I'm more close to my mom's side of the family, so they're more white, Caucasian side.
Do they talk to therapists?
They do. My mom does too, and like because I was like, what? For me, it was more so like, what do I need to talk about? Like, I'm fine. Like my ego, my ego was really high, and so like I'm strong. Like the stigma of being strong. I need to be strong and all this stuff. Yeah. But therapy really helps because you get an unbiased opinion of another person, and then you tell them certain things, but they can see right through you. Yeah. You're like, okay, what's really going on? True. And so they really peel the layers of who you really are. So I'm definitely an advocate of therapy because that really helped for me. Like, it really did. And so like for me, like I wish I can go back to Alexis, but really, because she's all the way in El Paso.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can talk on the phone.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Come on now, it's 2019.
Right.
1955. Yeah. So I remember all of my therapists. I spoke to Sheila at Texas Tech. I spoke to Jan at SMU, Ricky, Natasha. About 4. Yeah. Yeah, I remember them all. But I always like to think that, like, okay, so you have like a therapist that you can talk to about your problems, but you also have like facing your fears is a form of therapy as well. Yeah. Like to me, like I didn't realize until like, and I always say this, just like learning how to swim, which I learned at 26, that like,
wow.
fear is like, it only literally exists in your mind. You know what I mean? It's like that door right there. Like, if you're afraid of what's on the other side of it, you're probably not gonna go out there.
No.
You know what I mean?
You'll be stuck in this room forever.
you literally won't go outside of that door. But like, if you just get to the point to where like I don't really have nothing to be afraid of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I guess like to me, like, death is like just the best teacher, because like that like really like makes people like more aware of like time, and like people will be more regretful of like the things that they didn't do when they're old than like what they did do.
If only I did this. Or
Yeah.
If I don't want to have like a life full of ifs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and one thing that I can't remember what Will Smith always says, like fear and love are conjoined twins.
Okay.
Like there's fear.
Talk to me.
Well, I'm trying to remember when he was, because I was listening to one of his videos, him and Jada Pinkett Smith. And
is it like the Red Table Talk thing?
Red Table Talk, but it was one of his YouTube
IG
watch videos.
Just going.
He's going.
Yeah,
and
I love
that's
those.
one of the, because one of the things that, because one of the books actually he read too is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And that's one of my favorite books. And the whole moral of the story is that, moral of the story is that you really have to going through life, you got to know really what sets your heart aflame, what sets your heart afire, of what passion, what drives you to do certain things. So it's about like a little shepherd boy who
I've read The Alchemist.
Yeah. You read The Alchemist?
Of course.
Yeah. So like for me, like that whole book is really like I read it when I was in El Paso, so it was really more. So I was reading books and I was going to see Alexis, and it was like, okay, what does Danielle really want to do? And so I really had to dive in. And it was one of the passions was love for animals. So I knew I wanted to do something in medicine like that. Okay. And so, but going back to the fear part, the fear of the unknown is very scary, and you really have to take the leap of faith of that. Like I can take an example right now. My sister, she took a leap of faith to go to Japan. She didn't really know if she was going to like it or not. She has no one over there. True. She was scared at first, she's not gonna have her family there, but she took the leap of faith because she knew that was her drive. She always knew she wanted to go to Japan since I can remember.
Really?
Yeah, since I can remember. She loved anime, manga,
does she?
All that stuff. Yeah, I do too, but she's more like K-pop, J-pop.
Oh yeah, because we talked about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so she, if she succumbed to that fear, she would never gone to Japan. Okay. And really did her what she really wanted to do. True. And that was everybody. Yeah. Everything that you do, if you really succumb to your fears, you're not gonna be able to do the things that you love. True. Or that you wouldn't know that you would have loved. Okay. So I agree. It's like certain balance.
You a dog person or a cat or
a dog?
Dog.
I'm a dog person.
What kind of dog?
I have a German Shepherd and Shar-Pei mix. Okay. Her name's LaRue, but
has it been at the ranch before? Have I ever seen it?
She ran around one time. Took her over there one time. I don't think anyone was there though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, I never really grew up with cats. My mom never really liked cats, so we never had a cat.
I'm sorry. I'm not a cat person.
I'm not a cat person, but I'll
you're an animal person.
I can take care of cats and stuff, but I wouldn't have a cat on my own. Okay. But I'm a lover for animals though.
Really? Yeah. Where did that come from? Did you guys grew up with a pet?
We grew up with the dog all the time. Okay. We always had pets. We had parakeets. We had ferrets. Yeah, we had fish. So we always had animals. Okay. I think it was when I was in El Paso, my last year in El Paso, I was trying to find what Danielle liked, and I went to volunteer at an animal shelter, which that really set a flame of my passion for animals. And I was there, and I was walking the animals who were at the shelter, and we put them all in one big yard, and so they're all running around each other, and they excited to see someone. They're not there because they were put themselves there. They were there because they were abandoned, or they were put up on the street, or
that's cool.
And so I was like, oh my God, and they love. Their love is exponential, and so it's like, oh my gosh, it was really cute, and so I was like, oh my God, I was in puppy heaven.
Really?
Yes. Okay. But it really set a flame when I adopted my dog. Okay. Rue. Yeah, because believe it or not, it's interesting because Rue, we got her when me and my sister first went to El Paso.
Okay.
We weren't allowed to have dogs in the dorm, but my sister adopted a dog.
And took it to the dorm?
Took it to the dorm. And she took her out early in the morning and late at night, took her out in a duffel
so
bag. So they didn't know.
They didn't find out at all?
They didn't find out at all. And so, but we had track practice and soccer practice every day. And so it only lasted for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Really?
And so everybody's like, okay, I can't do it anymore because she had to wake up so early.
Yeah.
And so we put her on Craigslist, and a nice family picked her, got her and stuff. And then a year later, after my surgery, I came back to El Paso, and it was the middle of training camp, and my friend gets a call because she went with us to get LaRue, so all the information was under her name.
Okay.
Calls me, and she's like, hey, so the animal shelter that I later volunteered at, she's like, they called and they said they have LaRue. I was like, LaRue? Who's LaRue? Rue? She's like, Rue? She's like, yeah.
Oh, the dog that y'all gave away.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, she's at the animal shelter. So I was like, oh my gosh. So like I went over there, and sure enough, it was her. She was like really bone skinny, bald spot. So I was like, how? So I readopted her, and I was like, how am I gonna keep her? Because I was still living in the dorms. So I'm like, how am I gonna keep her at the dorms? And so I was able to. So I was, since my surgery, I had anxiety medication because I was going through a lot of stuff. Yeah. And so I called my doctor. We were really good friends with him, and I was like, hey, can you give me like a emotional support dog prescription kind of thing or something like that? I could have an emotional support dog. He's like, yeah. And so he sent it over, and so I was able to keep her, and then I had her since. And so that experience of itself, it was like, okay, like I knew like my drive was really for make sure like I advocate for animals.
Okay, so I got a question. So we're discovering who Danielle is. So other than animals, what's something that you found out about yourself that you kind of didn't expect that you would like? Other than animals.
I like to
Don't be embarrassed now.
No, I'm trying to think like
Okay.
No, obviously I love my video games and my anime and all this stuff, but I'm trying to think other.
Are you a gamer?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I got my new PS4. I was like, oh my god,
Fortnite?
I'm excited. Huh?
What games do you play?
I play a little Fortnite, not really so much. Apex Legends, I play a little bit of that.
Apex Legends.
Legends. I like my Tomb Raiders because I like a strong female character. Yeah,
I got it.
So I'm looking Lara Croft.
Got it.
But I'm trying to think what else. But for me, I really like to. Believe it or not, it's weird, but like I like to give advice. Like if I do have close friends, like I like to talk. So that's one of the things that I knew about myself, because I didn't really talk a lot at all. More so just to my sister.
Like growing up.
Growing up, yeah. Okay. I didn't really. I was more like I had a different persona. Like I had like a.
Like a shell, like a shield.
A shell. So like I was more of like a
the bubble, like the chick from the Incredibles. Like she had
little bubble, like Violet. Yeah. So like there was I had like a different personality. Like I was more. It was like like you said, like a little bubble that I didn't like. I displayed that like Danielle's fun. She didn't. She doesn't really. You didn't really knew who Danielle was. Okay. And then when I was talking to other people, and they're like, I didn't really like say like relationships, for instance. I would talk to some people or some of my friends, and I would give them advice, and they're like, how do you know this when you've never been in a relationship? Like, I don't know.
How do you know if you've never been in a relationship?
I was like, but for me, like, I'm more of an observer. I'm an observer, so like, all the time, I'm always aware. So like, I'm always like, taking in details and like taking a certain thing. I'm like, okay, I like that, but I don't like that either. So I want to, carry on, implement what I want, and later on, I can use it to whenever I want to start a relationship. Yeah. So, but I guess so. Yeah, it's more so. I like to read. That's one of the things I like to read. To be honest, I really enjoyed being by myself. That's the thing. I like
3 books right now, other than The Alchemist.
It was
favorite books.
Was it the Gift?
The Gift.
The Gift. Was it the Gift?
What's it about?
I can't remember. It was about using your gift to implement what you want in life. Like say, like my gift it's not necessarily being athletic. It's being like a leadership. Okay. I like to lead if there's like on the team or making sure that if I do a job, it's more of a leader role job. Okay. Like, and so like, how you did like the SAT, like there was the statistics of what career you should do. Okay. There's management. And I was like, I don't want to do management because my mom does management. And I'm like, I really don't want to do that. Yeah. But lead, it was about all that kind of stuff. Like finding what your gift was and implementing that into your life. Okay. And then there was this one, oh my gosh. I really recently just read it.
Okay. It's all right. Take your time.
Oh my God. Yeah. gosh, I see the cover.
What does it look like?
Oh my gosh. It's by Jeffrey something. Hold on, let me look.
Oh, okay.
I need to know. I need to know. I need to know.
All right. Yeah.
I need to know. Hold on.
Nah, it's okay, man.
But yeah, but this book talks about more, so it's more conspiracy, and so it talks about.
Are you a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, really? I like to talk about. Me and my brother, we just like we talk about it.
What is one like conspiracy that you like know is true? Like you don't doubt at all.
For me, I don't think we ever went to the moon. Yeah, I don't.
So,
think we went to
all
the
right,
moon.
why? Like, do you think that they like shot it and like produced it just the same way they do movies?
Yeah, like in Hollywood or something like that. Yeah,
Thank you.
I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Have you seen Zeitgeist? Check out Zeitgeist.
I feel like I heard that.
It's just all conspiracy theories, like 9/11, like everything. Check it out.
Okay, I need to see that.
Yeah. There's 3 of them.
Like the chemtrails and all that, and hold on. Oh, by Dick Gregory. Theories. I don't know why I said that.
Dick Gregory?
Dick Gregory. It's a book
Is that
by
his
Dick Gregory.
book?
Yeah, it's a book. It's about a book. So he's like all the like it's not necessarily conspiracy. It's more of like on the
black guy.
Yeah, Dick
I love
Gregory.
him.
I was like, I know so.
Yo, he is so freaking smart.
Oh my gosh, I was reading. I was like, I didn't think about that. I literally had to stop. I'm like, bro.
I just watched like his YouTube videos. And
No, but he has a book, and it's.
He know a lot about life.
It says define the moments in Black history, but the Black is crossed out.
Okay.
Reading between the lines, and it's a good book. You should read that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will. I've watched like hours and hours and hours of his like YouTube videos.
Yeah, I watched him on the Breakfast Club, and I was like,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I didn't know about him.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I love people like that.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Just wise, smart, just.
Or how involved he was, like in the revolution. He was like talking to Bob Marley, Martin Luther King. I was like, what? That's crazy. And like, y'all definitely need to read the book. It's good.
Dick Gregory.
Nice. Yeah, I love him too.
Nice.
Yeah, a little bit of Steve Harvey, but sometimes I'm just like,
Steve Harvey is really kind of dropping the ball right now.
Yeah.
Man. He's.
I read him a lot, and
he has books.
Yeah, he has books.
Okay.
There's one of them.
So you like comedians, because Dick Gregory was a comedian.
Yeah, I like comedians.
Have you ever listened to his comedy?
Nuh-uh.
Let's check out his comedy.
I've heard his comedy.
It's pretty funny. Man. He's funny. He's just like all over the place, but it's funny.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. What about you? What's
books? Let's see. I like Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay.
Like Outliers, David and Goliath.
Okay.
Those are all Malcolm Gladwell books. What is this one book? Dang, now you just put me on the spot and I went blank.
We'll go back on that later.
So I read this one book. It's called A Survivor. It's just like crime and mystery, stuff like that. But I like self-help books, and then I like fiction. With books, I just like that it takes my mind somewhere, and I can see it the way I see it.
I feel that.
Not like movies.
I feel that. There's one book, there was Where the Crawdads Live. It's like basically back in the 1960s, 70s. Okay. It's about a girl named Kaya, and like she's in Louisiana. They call her the Marsh Girl, and so she lives in the bayou, and it's like basically there's a social class. So she was like in the very lower class, and it's like a romance but suspenseful book, and you're like, oh crap! At the very end, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know that was gonna happen. And so it's a good book too. That's a good book too.
All right, so I've been doing this thing kind of lately. So like we got about 5 minutes left, right?
Oh dang.
Okay, so now it's your show. So now you just get to question me. It's whatever you want.
All right.
So now the pressure is off.
So what is your definition of self-love? Because I said more being comfortable with yourself, but what's your definition?
Like one just being like vulnerable. So I'm a part of this thing. It's called The Ladder, and it's like a men's group therapy session, but it's like fellowship, so it's around like the Bible and Christ like that. But it just allowed me to just like express and talk about like whatever I was dealing with, and just not feel like judged or anything like that. So one, just doing that, being vulnerable, just like putting like whatever I'm going through or what I've dealt with in the past, like just putting it out there and just being fine and not really caring what people feel about it. And another thing is just like I don't really I cherish my time a lot more. So like I don't like to like waste time like either like talking to somebody that if it's not really about anything important that I care about, or just like being somewhere that I don't really like the vibe of like what's going on. So like, yeah, like talking about my issues and putting it out there, being vulnerable, like cherishing my time, and then just like always like searching for like more of like what my purpose is. Like I believe I'm like closer, but I don't think that ever ends. Like I think it's just like like you talked about a lot about like your identity. Like the quest, like it never ends.
Oh,
you know, like
you're
once you
constantly finding yourself.
Yeah, like so you'll get over like one hurdle and then there's just another one. And so I don't like expect it anymore. It's just like I know that it's gonna be something else that's difficult in my life that I'm gonna have to like endure through. But like now I'm ready for it, as opposed to like when I was younger, like it would just hit me and I just wouldn't be ready for it. And I was like, what do I do now?
Right.
So just knowing that I'm like constantly gonna have to like endure. And just like, so it's all like, it goes back to like suffering. And it's like, I don't know what it is. It's like a book or something that like explains it. So like, we can't run from like suffering. Like we're all gonna suffer at some point in our life. But like how we deal with suffering is like basically like what's gonna determine like who we are as a person. That's gonna like determine our identity. So like if I know I have to suffer, and I'm just like, I'm gonna prepare for it. It's like you used to say, like, prepare for the worst, because like nothing's worse than the worst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
sure.
yeah, like it all goes back to like suffering.
I feel that.
Yeah.
What made you want to do this podcast?
Shout out to Coach Ray, Michael Ray. So one of my boys, Jason, he just called me and told me one day, like, he did this interview with this guy, and like he'll have you on his show. And I did his show, like when I did his show, like everything was like really going good for me, and I had a lot of stuff to talk about because everything was good.
Yeah.
You know, and then like I got released, and he called me to come back on the show. I was like, fuck, I gotta like, you know, so I had to, I think it was that same day or the next day, I went on his show and I told him like what had happened. Like I explained like everything, like how I had got like really excited about the opportunity to like be home, be here in Frisco and play in front of my family again, and just like how excited I was. And I really think that like people should like think about that thing. So in our heads, like we have an idea of like what something is gonna be like, right?
Yeah.
But like God's vision for us is always different. And like we may not like it, but like he gonna give us what we want, but it's not gonna be exactly like how we want it or like how we see it. It's always gonna be different. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
and we gotta be ready to receive that too.
Yeah, and you gotta be ready to receive it, or you could miss it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's cool.
It's that.
Yeah, I like it because like because I get a vibe like, you know, this is like your instrument to touch other people and make sure that, you know, let them know that they're not alone, whatever, what they're dealing, what they're feeling with. And that's what I get the vibe from. I'm like, dang, this is cool. Because like my sister, you know, she's doing a YouTube blog thing. So she's taking, she, you know, put her experience of trying to get to Japan and all that stuff onto her YouTube channel. And so all the people are commenting, thank you so much. Like I didn't know how to do it, and Brittany's like, you know, figuring it out for herself, but also helps other people figure it out. That's so cool. I just like how it's like you're also impacting other people in a very positive way, and really not trying to like, you know, shaming how they're feeling, or really discrediting how they're feeling, or also like, you know, oh, I'm doing this, ha ha ha, like, you know, like showboating. No, and I'm saying like this is cool. Like that's why I was curious of why you wanted to start this, because this is really cool.
It's closer to like my purpose. Like I don't necessarily know what my purpose is, but just kind of like you spoke about like Dick Gregory, like people like that. Like I just feel like they make a bigger impact. Like they made a bigger impact on my life, just because like the things that they dealt with and that they experienced, like they chose to share them, and it was like important to them, and they dedicated their lives to it. Like they dedicated the rest of their life to just doing that stuff. So that's kind of like what my purpose. I don't know if it's like activism or like whatever you would call it.
Well, everyone, I feel like what you leave on this earth once you do pass over is your connections with other people, how you impacted other people, and that's what, you know, I was saying, staying back earlier, what for my dad, like what we are doing is like trying to make sure we leave a good legacy for the Trout name. Yeah. And so I feel like that's one of the, you're trying to impact other people just without even being physically there. Yeah. You're trying to touch them. Okay. Letting them know that, they're not dealing with what they're going through by themselves. Like we went through it too, or, you went through it too.
Can I ask you a question?
So, yeah.
All right. Somebody asked me this question last time, and it was like, I don't know, it just caught me by surprise, and then I was all like, emotionally, like, but I gotta ask you because like we both lost our dads. So like, if you could just say anything to your dad, like, what would you say to him? Is that like the one question you didn't? Did you know I was gonna ask that?
No.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, what wouldn't I say?
Really?
There's like, oh my gosh, I don't even.
Take your time. Take your time.
Oh my gosh.
I would hope that you say that you love him.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, that's given. Oh my god, no.
Yeah, that's how you start. Like,
yeah, for sure. I love you. Like, I missed you.
Yeah.
Like, it's
a lot.
There's a lot. There's like one thing. Like I can't think. Like one thing would be I love you. Yeah. That I miss him. Okay. Like if I could talk to him right now, I would just be like, man. Like I'm just like, oh my god. I wouldn't know. Like
okay.
I don't know. Like.
All right, I got something for you.
Hopefully he's proud of us. Yeah. What we're doing.
Yeah.
And that we love him.
Yeah.
Still do every day, every minute, every hour. Shoot.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah.
You're a pretty spiritual person. So like I guess like. In my quest to like understand my father's life more, like God started to like use people he spoke through people to talk to me. I don't know if it was like about my father, but like he would like use people to talk to me. And it was like, some of it was about my dad and then some of it just was like about my purpose. You know what I mean? And like
I feel that.
Yeah. And it's like it's never the people you expect.
No.
You know?
I was at work one time and it happened to me.
Exactly.
I was like
exactly.
It was like something that I was going through that day. Or it was something like, she was saying stuff that what my mom was going through and like what she had. I'm like,
yeah.
And then she was like, hey, we gotta stay woke. I was like, what? I was like, oh my god. Yeah, like I was literally putting like stock into in our aisles and our DVDs. Yeah. And she just came up to me. She goes, hey, and then they started talking to me randomly.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. I was like,
that's real.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I was telling my coworker, and she's like, huh? I'm like, never mind. You're not woke yet. You're not woke. This is crazy.
Yeah. What does woke mean to you? What does woke mean to you?
Woke, for me, it's more so like finally having the blindfold really off. Everyone has like, blindfold, not really being ignorance is bliss for most people. Like they don't really know what's really going on. Whether that's politically, whatever. But for me, it's more woke is mean for spiritually and mentally more self-woke. Being woken in the sense of that, like you said, like not really trying to find your purpose or really learning what your purpose is, finding that gift, what really actually helps you with that purpose. In that kind of sense, like knowing what kind of people you surround yourself with. If the people around you are supposed to be around you, if you need to, cut some of those people off that help you on your journey. That's kind of what I define as woke, like kind of like more so like it goes back to self-awareness of yourself, of really knowing like, oh crap, I need to really wake up and really see what the world actually is and what relationships are, what really defines purpose in life. Purpose is not like trying to get as many likes on Instagram or whatever like that. Your purpose is trying to, what message am I putting out on Instagram? Like that kind of that versus that. And so that's what I would example. That's my kind of definition of woke.
Danielle Trout, this has been Catch You on the Rebound. I appreciate you coming through here, sharing your story, and for sure, like, if like when I do this thing, man, like if just one person is like impacted by it, then like
you're doing your job.
Exactly.
You're doing it. So shoot, congrats to you. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Wish I could do this. Shoot.
You can.
No, this is amazing. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we out of here.